Testing, testing.
Check, check.
Check, check. But yeah, dude, I woke up the next morning and my right arm and leg were just so sore. It was insane. Like, it's like, oh, cool. It hurts to lie down and exist.
I forget every once in a while when you just think, hey, oh, I'm still younger, the parts still work. And then that next day when you wake up and you're like, why does this hurt?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I carried Preston around one day and I remember my legs were killing me the next day and I couldn't figure out like why. I thought I was sick.
Yeah.
Nope. Just carried your kid around.
Thought you were coming down with something. Turns out you're coming down with the old.
Yeah.
M. Night Shyamalan's old.
No.
The characters in that movie, how they rapidly age, that's you and me.
Nope. That movie doesn't exist.
Yeah, truly. Talk about movies that
I'll give him Trap.
don't exist in the memory bank. You know?
Or was it Trap? It's Trap, right?
Yeah. I low-key defend Trap.
Yeah.
Not even low-key. I did. It's in recording.
Yeah, I was about to say. I mean, it's not great, but, I enjoyed it.
I do have a feeling that if I rewatch Trap, I would probably give it a 6 instead of a 7 like I gave it.
Yeah, more things become a little bit more glaring as you're not paying attention to Hartnett's performance.
Yeah, but I don't think I would ever find myself in a position where I dislike the movie.
Did we do that with Cloverfish Killer?
Probably no.
not.
We didn't cover Cloverfish Killer.
We haven't covered Cloverfish?
No.
Are you sure?
I feel like I would recognize that name if we covered that movie.
Wow.
We did it with The Wailing and Watership Down, if I remember right. It was like one of those rare 3-movie episodes.
Yeah, we kind of tied it in. Yeah.
Yeah, because we happened to see it, and we were like, well, we might as well talk about it.
Yeah, I caught it. It was a late night HBO, and I was like, I'll fall asleep to this. Next thing you know, I'm watching the whole movie.
Yeah, you're like, oh, is he going to get out of the concert? I don't know.
Well, how are they going to go about this is more of my thought.
Yeah.
Like, how does this keep getting more ridiculous?
You're almost kind of waiting, like, how is M. Night going to fuck this up?
I don't even know about fuck it up. It's kind of like you're... Uh-oh.
Nope, the mixer's returned.
It's mixing.
With a vengeance. That beautiful farting noise.
It's more so like this is going sideways real fast and like at a point that's just not believable. So like, how does he tie in the next unbelievable thing to happen?
Yeah.
Right?
It's amazing how that movie goes from one unbelievable thing to the next.
Yes.
In different types of unbelievable things.
Yes.
From one act to the other.
Oh my God. Yeah. I think that was the fascination of it. And that's probably why it's not rated so high. But I love Hartnett in it.
Hartnett's great.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to need a little bit help from you for this intro. I'm in a monologue. And then after I pause, I want you to say a picture of the Neon Crew podcast.
Okay.
My $2,000 ceramic Vector my mother got me as a special gift. You threw it in the lake next to the car. What happens when they drag the lake? You think they'll find my pistol? Jesus. Look up idiot in the dictionary. You know what they'll find?
Picture of the Neon Crew podcast?
No. The definition of the word idiot, which you fucking are.
Yeah, Gay Perry.
Gay Perry. I was kind of surprised at how little Shane Black movies, at least directed Shane Black movies there were. He's one of those guys whose name I instantly recognize, and I'm like, yeah, Hollywood filmmaker, totemic, comedy director, at least like, mid 2000s, kind of doesn't make a whole lot of movies, boom, 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 in super sequential order. And then I look up his movies, and I'm like, oh, he's got like 6 films that he's done. One of them is Iron Man 3, and the other one's a Predator movie. So like 2 of those are like franchise films.
He was in Predator.
Yeah, the original Predator.
Yeah.
He directed...
I can make it.
I think he directed The Predator, right? I watched that like last year.
With Brody?
Yeah.
Sounds right.
Yeah. Wasn't... Oh, no. That's so you're thinking of Predators.
Okay.
Predator is the one with... oh, God. He's the villain from Logan. What's his name?
Our boy.
Yeah. Our boy whose name we can't remember.
Yeah, it escapes us.
It like starts with an E, right?
Sure.
I'm gonna look this up. We cannot leave this thread.
God, he was in both movies that we watched too.
Right.
What were those 2 movies we watched? We didn't even know he was in it, and then he's in both of them.
It was the Liberace movie.
Oh yeah.
And Bob Dylan movie.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Both of which I can't remember the titles. I'm looking up The Predator.
Behind the Candelabra
Yep.
and Dylan Comes Alive.
Boyd Holbrook.
Boyd Holbrook starts with an E.
Yeah, I was like, is his name like Eric or something? He looks
Yeah.
like he could be an Eric. Great strong start to episode 104 of the Neon Crew
Hell yeah.
podcast. Hi everybody, my name is Kyle.
Hello, I'm Mac.
So not a ton in the way of news, I don't think, right? Unless you've got something.
Nope.
Do you
No, I
ever,
don't.
I often try to like sometimes curate news, see if there's anything on the horizon for us. Do you ever find yourself like scrolling through like just, I don't know, Reddit or movie forums just to see what's on
I
the
don't
happen?
have time. I literally have no time that I'm watching movies at 10 a.m. like
I understand that.
like right now, football season. It is literally. So after this, I'm gonna go home. I gotta watch film, put together our practice scripts, put together the practice plan, and that's normally I'm up till midnight nowadays. And then it's waking up at 6:30, going to work, going to practice, and then doing the exact same thing.
So if you're a listener and you want to know Mac's daily routine, just chime in and write this down, and you can follow him.
That's literally it. And then it's like, oh, I'll have time to go see this movie at this time. And then, I have other things in life to do besides work and football. So, no, if I ever do catch anything, I think you usually jog my memory when you bring something up. Because I know
You're pretty quick to recall things.
Facebook, I shouldn't say always on, but I scroll through like in my downtime. So that's like 30 minutes where I'm just like, I'm going to take a little bit of me time, and just mindlessly scroll through the stuff. And I usually catch things if they catch my eye, chamber it.
I want to ask you something. This is really not movie related at all. You ever think about deleting it? Just Facebook, just getting rid of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I've been thinking about it more and more because I find that anytime that I'm on it, I feel like 90% of the time I'm never happy with what I'm seeing. It's either depressing shit that's happening in the world that just makes me hate myself and hate the place I'm living in even more, or it's just like this AI bullshit everywhere that's people fall for, and they're like, oh, God bless you, amen. And it's like someone just typed in a prompt and made this AI image of Jesus being sculpted in Africa. Like,
Yeah.
it's so stupid. And people, it feels like half of the people on there are like not real. Like everybody, I feel like, just gets dumber with social media. I don't know. It's like that thing of, I always think of like Eddington, where it's like, yeah, social media is just like destroying everything.
I've not seen it yet.
I need you to watch it so you can feel the way I feel about about Facebook and all its dog shit.
Yeah, well, that's why I say mindlessly scrolling, because I think what I do is it's like you just keep going down, and if something grabs my eye, stop to read it. If not, you just keep scrolling and kind of keep up with the news that way. And then it's like, all right, don't know if that's real or not real, so I'm not gonna die on that hill,
Yeah.
if you will. No, I like literally I just use it to kind of keep up with current events with other things going on, and I hope if I scroll long enough, something will pop up that's mildly entertaining or interesting.
Yeah.
The memes, though, I mean, the memes are good.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes the memes are good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I wanted to vent about Facebook for a minute.
No, but I mean,
because
like,
it's been
I'm
getting under my skin.
Nah, I'm kind of with you. Like, I think that it's gone from being a way to network and socialize within your network to like everyone just uses it just to keep up with like what is or isn't happening, and just to say that you saw it. And that's where I'm like, I could be done with it, but also I think my wife would kill me because then I can do the family photos and all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Because there are some people out there that do use it to kind of keep up with where everyone else is
that's
at.
really the main reason why I haven't fully gotten rid of it yet. There's been times where I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna log out of this and then not worry about seeing anything on it for like a week or so. And then I log back in and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll see something that I like. And then I scroll through and I'm like, wow, I hate it even more.
Yeah.
But anyway, speaking of hating things,
Okay.
boy, oh boy, did these boys hate walking after a while. I tell you what, their poor legs got a little sore.
Man, or just fell off.
Yeah, or just bent the way that they shouldn't.
I don't know how that happened to the one guy. I'm not gonna lie. I still can't figure out why.
Well, we can get into it when we discuss The Long Walk. 2025's The Long Walk. So we both watched this movie. We paired this with the recommendation, which was Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. So I'll summate this. So this is a 2025 dystopian survival thriller film. The Cinema Carousel describes it as a horror. There's when you buy a ticket online.
I think that's where this thing kind of with the marketing frustrated me, but I don't know how else you market this. Trying to get asses in seats.
Right. That's what I told someone because they were like, why does it say horror on it? And I'm like, well, it probably says horror because it gets people's attention.
Yeah.
And, we're getting into the fall season. Horror movies are getting a little bit more and more of like, oh, we got to go watch a spooky movie.
I would say, and not to jump ahead with this, though, but and we'll talk about it more when we go into it, but like just the main premise of what's happening is kind of horrific.
It's horrific, absolutely, but it's not like ghosts and goblins and Jason Voorhees.
I mean, this is like so. Yes, like I don't think it should have the horror title, but also in like a very mild sense, I would agree that you could slap it on there.
Sure.
I do think though, if you're going in thinking that it's going to be spooky and it's going to be very like edgy, you're going to be disappointed in that sense.
It's bleak. It's not a fun time for the characters.
What's the movie they dance with horses? I think is the movie title.
Okay.
I think that could be. I mean, like it kind of falls within the same vein of that.
Yeah. So this film was directed and produced by Francis Lawrence, who, if you don't know who that is, he's primarily known as the director of the later Hunger Games movies.
Hey.
I don't hate those films, but I do feel like the Hunger Games are pretty held back by the ratings. But anyway, directed by Francis Lawrence, written by J.T. Mullner, who directed one of my surprise hits of last year, Strange Darling. Did you ever check that out?
Strange Darling?
Yeah.
I don't think it's streaming it on something that's accessible to me.
Gotcha. Check that movie out. I thought it was pretty solid for a low budget thriller that subverts expectations. So this is based off of the Stephen King. I've heard people describe it as like a novel or novella, but
I don't know what is this adaptation off? Like, was it like a 50-page? I read somewhere he wrote it when he was 19.
So he started writing it when he was 16 or 17. As sort of a response to the Vietnam War and like his feelings towards that. Wikipedia is telling me it's 384 pages, so definitely novel length. I don't know where people are finding novella.
That's what they shoot horses, don't they? Anyways,
but based on the Stephen King novel, under his pseudonym Richard Bachman, and is essentially about these boys who live in a alternate version of the United States in the 60s under a totalitarian regime led by this mysterious figure called the Major, who in this movie is played by Mark Hamill. And every year, the Major puts on this show called The Long Walk, where he takes a boy from each state, each of the 50 states, and has them walk down the road at a pace of 3 miles per hour or more. And if they fall below that, they get a set of 3 warnings. And if they go past their 3 warnings, their ticket is punched, so to speak. They get executed.
Yeah.
And so this movie stars Cooper Hoffman as Ray Garrity, one of the boys who is picked from the lottery, because the movie states that they're all volunteering to be in part of this long walk. And we see it from kind of his perspective. He makes some friends along the way, such as Peter McVries, played by David Johnson. There's other boys, too. Billy Stebbins, played by Garrett Waring. Art, played by Tut Nyut. Gary Barkovich, played by Charlie Plummer. Hank Olson, played by Ben Wang. And, of course, I mentioned Mark Hamill as the Major. And the movie's basically we're seeing these boys have some dialogue as they're walking along the road to see who will outlast each other. So spoiler alert for The Long Walk. So this one kind of caught my attention. It's a movie in which, or it's a story in which rather, I feel like I was kind of surprised wasn't already adapted into like a movie or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Or like maybe a television special like Stephen King liked to have his movies do in like the 90s and whatever. So I felt like, okay, the marketing for this is effective for me. I would be willing to go see this movie. Jesus, I can't fucking talk today. And I don't know. To me, I am not like a sucker for like these types of dystopian premise movies where like we take these kids and we put them in a situation.
Not a suck my ass.
Yeah, who am I kidding? I am a sucker.
Yeah, you saw that and you're like, oh yeah, that's right up my alley.
I mean, pretty much. Yeah. It's the longest way of me saying it was up my alley. Yeah. At least it looked like it. And I ended up seeing this movie twice, which you said earlier kind of tips my hand of how I feel about this movie, which you are absolutely right. I really enjoyed this film.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really fun time. Despite how bleak and upsetting and just like tumultuous it is at so many different points in this movie. I mean, you know, we can get into it even more, but like what are your sort of like baseline thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's an interesting film. I'm trying to think like with the marketing of it and the trailers, like I just knew that you walked and you got shot. So I thought it was more of a competition going in, and it is a competition, but it
is kind of a competition.
I mean, it is a competition. It's not in the sense though, like there's only a couple characters that kind of house it in the sense of there's some strategy and like I'll be able to do this to get these guys out, and it's not that at all. I mean, it's really just a really in-depth look at about, you know, friendship.
Yeah,
right?
Friendship and the human spirit.
Yeah, and kind of, you know, the human spirit condition. And I was not prepared for the bonds that they were going to grow, you know, with this walk. And essentially, it's like, and that's what we were kind of, you know, alluding to in the sense of horror of like, this is not a horror because in the sense or in the end, it's just about a friendship, you know. And I think what, you know, and I was talking to the coaching staff right before I came over here because I told them I was going to do the pod, and you know, we talked about the long walk a little bit, and I said, yeah, it's like, you know, the first bullet goes off and you're like, hey, you know, and then all of a sudden it's like you hear a couple more and you just become so conditioned, which I think was a really interesting part of the film. Just psychologically conditioned to like, hey, like their tickets are getting punched, right? And you kind of lose that empathy for what these characters are going through. And then I don't know if you had it, but for me, I realized that and I was like, oh, they're conditioning me to this. This is kind of interesting.
Yeah,
and
it's like a process of desensitization.
Yeah.
In real time, pretty much.
Yeah, and you know, and you know the stakes are at hand, what these kids have signed up for, and kind of like, I thought it would have been cooler. Well, I don't know. It was interesting to me because I did think it was like name drawn out of a hat. And then when they proposed that it was a lottery and people sign up because obviously they're trying to get out of this dystopian state, or they're, you know, they want to elevate themselves because they can't with where they're at. Right. So this is your chance at becoming rich and famous. And I was like, oh, that kind of switches it up for me just a little bit. But I had that realization where I'm like, oh, I'm kind of getting desensitized, getting conditioned to this. And then the next bullet went off and I was like, oh, this is awful, you know?
Yeah, it's amazing how when I went into this movie, knowing that it was rated R, I was still taken aback by how forward and just front and center the violence was. Because... you know, and we said spoilers for, you know, all this stuff, and you probably even know what I'm about to say because it's in the trailer. But the first kid to get it, Curly, played by Roman Griffin Davis, who, if you don't know who that is little Jojo Rabbit.
Oh, it's your boy.
Yeah, little Jojo Rabbit.
You still like Jojo Rabbit as much as you did?
I would rewatch it, reassess it a bit. I don't think I would dislike it if I were to, you know, venture back into that movie. But He's the first one who gets killed, and he gets a leg cramp. Cooper Hoffman is doing his best to like kind of keep him moving, keep him going. Like, come on, just look at me, keep walking. Gives you a good indication of Cooper Hoffman's character, his good nature, and also like his friend Pete is also trying to help him along too. But everybody has to keep walking, otherwise, they're in danger as well. Kid gets a leg cramp, is yelling, it's not fair, and then just gets shot in the head. And in the trailer, it's edited in a way where you see it in the background, but it's not like super close up and it's kind of out of focus. You just see Ray's reaction. And in the movie itself, it just shows you like the whole thing, like right up close, like him getting shot and then just like, boom, going down. And again, even though I knew this movie was rated R, that still like kind of shook me a bit. I was like, oh shit, I wasn't expecting this, because I had an expectation in my mind of how the scene was framed based on the marketing. And I was like, oh God, like, is this going to be like the entire, like, we're just going to see these kids getting shot in the head the whole time? Which sometimes you do, and then sometimes they make the choice of panning out a little bit for the sake of, editing and character moments and what have you. But yeah, I was just really taken aback by it, but also appreciative of the fact that it doesn't shy away from the violence and the gruesomeness, because I said it earlier, a big complaint that I have about the Hunger Games movies is that the premise can never live up to the rating, or the rating can never live up to the premise of what it's putting forward. Yeah. You're taking this movie about like all these kids getting in this battle royale arena killing each other, and you can't show any blood or stabbing or shooting or anything. Yeah. Like, it's just inhibited because of that. And I like that this movie doesn't have that issue. Like, I appreciate the fact that it is showing this premise in the fullest possible way that it could. Yeah. At least in my opinion.
No, I agree. I mean, I going into the first one, they walk up and Curly's gonna get it. So my thought was like, all right, we're gonna see how much they dance around this or how gruesome they want to get. Because I'm thinking, all right, this is, and now that I have a better understanding too, because like some of the time it's like, hey, it's a long walk, but the last act is like we figured a way out of it. And now we're taking down the system, right?
And
like,
I was wondering if that was ever gonna reach that point.
Yeah, because I had no idea. I'm just like, and so if you just take like, you walk in face value and you go, all right, we're going to watch them walk and see who gets to the end. Like, they're going to have to do some stuff. So I thought that when they showed that, I was like, great, they're going to be gratuitous with all this stuff. So like the kid with the ankle, and I'm like, because like, how the fuck do you do that to your ankle walking? Like there's no, I don't think. And anyways, I was just like, great, this is going to be like disgusting. And, like I have to now, this is how they get the rated R rating and how they keep audience members engaged, is that we're going to have to do this. And they didn't. It wasn't gratuitous at all. I thought they managed it very well with how they did the executions. No, what was more alarming to me, what got me even more like, oh boy, was, if Hunger Games, like, and maybe I don't know much about it. Maybe they help each other, maybe they don't. But in this one, seeing Ray and Pete trying to keep Curly going and establishing relationships and saying like, hey, we're going to get each other through this, even though we know only one of us is going to make it. Watching that happen, I was like, this is going to get even harder as they develop and grow these relationships, because like that was very early on, and you see the empathy from everyone, and in the sense of like, if you're going into a competition, I want to be the last man standing. See you later. Right. To watch the kind of camaraderie they had, and then, watching, trying to help another human being. I was like, oh man, this is going to be tough as we go along.
And I think a big thing with this movie too is like that desensitization versus empathy for your fellow man in this situation. Because I love the fact that this movie is ultimately not only about friendship, but about like helping push the other person along the road, which I feel like this whole movie is like kind of a metaphor for getting through life, kind of the people you meet and pass by along the way. You lose touch with a lot of them, and then once you get to the end point of your life, it's like you don't really have anybody anymore. Yeah. And I love that as a metaphor, but I also love that the character of Ray Garrity never feels like he has to make a decision to be empathetic or not. It's just inherently within his character. Yeah. And they do a really good job of like establishing that early on. Yeah. And like showing the highs and lows of that, because throughout the movie, there's points in which like he feels like giving up, or like he feels like, you know, a little bit agitated towards Pete when he gets like the 3 warnings in a row, and it's like, oh god, like we're about to get up the hill and I'm gonna get shot. And there's like a bit of friction there, but it's never unbelievable or contrived. It never feels like it's for the sake of like a narrative checklist.
Right.
It always feels just like a natural yet investing portrayal of that.
I think it's what if you're going through, you talk about going through something grueling like that and having your, you know, your brothers in arms helping you out. Like that's kind of like, you're going to get an emotional roller coaster out of it. It never felt, you know, and that's why I like Pete's character too, is because he was in some ways conservative. Right. I'm going to protect. I have a little bit that I'm going to protect about myself, that I'm going to protect, but also like I'm living, loving life, and I've signed up for this, and you know, like I'm taking ownership about what I'm doing. Even he kind of had some points where like you could see that he's like kind of getting a little bit emotionally flustered, you know, and I thought all of them really did for the most part, a good job on keeping that balance of what it means to be a human, you know, just kind of going through this.
Yeah. Yeah, we can talk about the performances if that's something you want to get into. I mean, Cooper Hoffman, I thought, did a good job.
He was fantastic.
Thought his chemistry specifically with David Johnson was really great.
Those guys, this was shot in Winnipeg, Canada.
Yes.
And they walked 15 miles a day.
Yes.
Getting these shots.
Yep.
And they said they walked a total of 400 miles, at the end of shooting.
And they shot this movie chronologically.
Oh,
so like throughout the process of the movie, you can see like, they're filming as they're going along, so you get that sense of like we've actually gone through something instead of just like jumping around a bunch of different points.
And they had so it's kind of funny, I mean, but it really helps out. Maybe this is why I like filming on location, is that they're all experiencing these pains. Right, of the walk and so I read that, you know, afterwards they would go to Dairy Queen and get ice cream, right? They all listen to music together, and so like you're hanging out when you're on set, maybe you're getting ready to film, but you're always hanging out, you're always together. So I think just naturally they developed a friendship probably off camera, and it plays really well.
Sense,
and they all played really well into each other. Like I really enjoyed the friendships that, you know, you could tell when there was like some connections there, and like, hey, we're gonna get through this together. Like we don't know like when it's gonna end. And it's also funny too, you think about it in like a competition sense, like I want to be number one. The whole time that they're going, it's just like, hey, we're gonna keep going until we can't, you know. And whether it doesn't have to be you or me, it's just like whenever we decide to meet our end, like we will do it like with dignity.
Other than like, a few moments, there's never really any sort of scheming or like I'm going to get ahead on one or the other. Like it never feels like there's an inherent selfishness about the game itself.
And I think that it shines through the performances with everyone, is that it all felt very genuine and natural.
Yeah. And I love that this movie is not like completely bleak the whole time. You get moments of peaks and valleys of, we're seeing these guys actually having a good time together, despite like the grueling nature of the walk itself and like the shitty situation that they're in.
Yeah.
They are enjoying being around each other, having a dialogue, you know, cracking jokes back and forth. There's just this, and the way in which I think that makes the movie even more powerful is like you lose that sense as the movie goes along, and you lose more and more of the characters, and that sense of like friendship is just severed even more. But you never completely lose it because you've got the chemistry of Cooper Hoffman and David Johnson. Yeah. David Johnson specifically, I think, is really fucking good in this movie.
Oh yeah.
He was my favorite performance by far.
Same.
You've also got Garrett Waring as Billy Stebbins, who's got like kind of his own secret sort of thing that he's harboring, and you don't find out until towards the end of the movie that the reason, because I like how it was sort of like a subversion of expectation with his character, where he's kind of like when Cooper Hoffman is having the conversation with David Johnson about why he's doing the walk, because he wants to basically get revenge on the Major for killing his father.
Yeah.
And the setup is if you win the long walk, you not only get a large cash prize, but you also get what's called a wish, in which you can wish for pretty much anything that you want as long as it doesn't interfere with government policy or whatever. And his idea is, I'm going to win this race. I'm going to wish for a carbine so I can shoot the major and get back at him for what he did to my dad. And in that scene when he's telling Pete, Stebbins is kind of like sort of slunking behind him a little bit. Like you can kind of see he's like right there.
Yeah.
So you almost get the idea of like, is he listening to what he's saying, and is he going to try to get Ray Garrity killed? And then when the boys are saying like, fuck the long walk, you kind of like see Stebbins like smirk a little bit.
Yeah.
And when I'm watching the movie, I'm wondering, oh, is he smirking because he's got an ace up his sleeve that he's going to pull out and like screw these guys over with?
That's what so when he gets to his monologue and he says, I'm the rabbit.
Yep.
I was like, all right, we're finding out that he was planted in here and he knows that he'll get to the end so that there isn't a cash prize, right? He's the implant, Stebbins wins and the government keeps its money. There's no wishes granted. It's all kind of done for show. So, you can kind of trim the populace, if you will. Mm-hmm. And then you get a little bit more into the story and then you find out. And that was, I don't know. It was all right. I wasn't too.
I think I didn't mind it, and I enjoyed that part of the movie as like a framing for how awful the major is, because not only we already have an idea of like how bad this guy is because he's doing this and he's going around shooting people in the head for reading books and consuming quote unquote banned things under his totalitarian regime.
Yep.
You also find out that he's got a bunch of bastard children because he's a fucker who just likes to go around and do these types of things.
See, that's where I get to though. You get the stakes. We were talking about it before. You've already hit the maximum stake. So to find out he's like more piece of shit, like I'm like, all right, like he's already a 10 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
Finding out other things, I'm like, yeah, that fits the profile, but it doesn't. Now, I do like what Stebbins does once he kind of has that realization, and he's looking at the two friends and saying like, listen, I don't want you guys to lose your moments together. Like, it's funny too because everyone starts to get towards the end. Like, you can obviously tell when. I like how you kind of mentioned it was allegory for life, but like when you're too young, right? Or it's just like something bad happened, unforeseeable, and it's out of your control, and to be able to pick and choose your end. I really did like once they got to that and they realized like, hey, this is it for me, to be able to have that peace of mind. And I really liked how Stebbins went out with it. Mm-hmm. I could have did without the monologue, but
I enjoyed the monologue.
I mean, it fits in. It's a very simple story, so you have to have some other. You got to have some other ingredients in there, right?
Yeah, and I didn't have an issue with it, and I too think that when he has that scene where he's there's like 5 of them left, and he's like, all right, guys, we have to like make an agreement that we're not going to like help each other anymore. I feel like he's kind of talking about himself because perhaps in that scene he's thinking about how. I'm really fucking quiet. I gotta turn myself up. Come on. Hello. In that scene, he's thinking about, oh, I'm saying this because I myself am gonna, I'm not gonna make it. Like, I feel like he's contemplating, like, if I go down, these guys can't stop and help me, like they've been doing with other people throughout the movie.
It's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least I feel like that could be the case. I don't know if it's like 100%.
I don't know. I mean, I took it as the approach of like, all right, you get the pack of geese, right? And there's always one that leads point, and it helps out with the airflow with the geese behind it, so they can preserve some energy. Mm-hmm. And those geese, they always rotate who's up in front after X amount of miles, right? And so that way, the flock as they're going along can rest while one's leading the charge. And I felt like between Ray and Pete that they were leaning on each other so much that it was Stebbins' way of going like, all right, I've got to split these two up. How do I do that? And I think that's why you see a different course as he came to that realization of, oh, we should have been helping each other the entire time.
Yeah.
And I think he just kind of hits that point where he can see it and just how much he missed out because he was so selfish in life, you know? And then he got to that point realizing what could have been different. And it's, you know, also coming to the realization or the accepting who he was.
Yeah. Arthur Art Baker, played by Tut Nyut, the sort of like kind of I don't want to say like token religious character in these types of movies.
Loved him. He was great.
I thought he was really good. It does kind of feel like that thing of, oh, we have to have a character in here who is religious because the situation is so bleak and dire that there is this sort of like vessel that people can kind of live through. Like if you're watching this movie and you're a religious person, you can kind of see yourself in them and be like, oh yeah, I would be this person.
They were
in this
all
situation.
archetypes of some degree.
Yeah, true. But I feel like this movie, you're right, does a good job of like fleshing that out and like creating a dynamic between him and the rest of the group. And I thought he was really great.
Because he doesn't force. Now, what I really liked is he doesn't force his beliefs on everyone else. You know,
Right,
he kind of has his own set. And
He's not like haughty about it.
No,
he's
it's
not
just-
saying you're gonna go to hell if you don't win this race.
right. Like, hey, like this is who I am. This is what I believe in. Maybe you guys should. And then when no one else was really hopping in, he's like, well, y'all are missing out, and like I'm still gonna be me, which I appreciate it. And every time he kind of came in, there was always there was a little bit of a religious background to what he was kind of going on about.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed him quite a bit, and his ending was the one that got me a little choked up. I was like, damn, but like when he kind of, I think he talked about it, like when most people don't get to pick their endings or choose their endings, and then he got to go on and say, hey, like, just don't watch me go. But like, I've come to I've hit it. We got to my point. I was like, all right, like it's very, it's like dark beauty, like there is some calming, revelations, from some of the dialogue that's had, which is so what makes it like a dark, bleak movie.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Ben Wang as Hank Olson. Shout out to our boy Ben Wang, who we talked about before in Karate Kid. You're shaking your head. Did you not like this performance?
I didn't.
Really?
It was a
Really? That's
it's
surprising.
not a him. It's not him. It's so Tropic Thunder.
Where is this going? I'm very curious.
Tropic Thunder, funny enough, it's about, Vietnamese, it's comedy, right? But they have these characters that are playing archetypes, and then they kind of break the archetypes, right? But because they're playing some of these archetypes, they have to overact. Usually like when it's like, hey, as an actor, right? And we're going to say you're acting as someone, I want you to make sure that everyone knows that you are acting.
Sure.
And then when you don't, like when have you seen Tropic Thunder?
Yes.
A little bit I can't think of the tall guy, Bruchel.
Jay Baruchel.
Jay Baruchel, right? Or he's kind of playing this character, and all of a sudden he turns out he's really nerdy, and it's and then like you get a little bit more of him in that regard, but you can see the contrast between the character that he's playing versus who he is as a person. Mm-hmm. Ben Wang in this felt as if he was acting as a guy. And that's where I had the most...
I feel like, not to like cut you off, I feel like that's intentional. I feel like there is this point in which his character is sort of projecting confidence in order to maintain this image of, oh, I'm like the wisecracker. I'm the funny guy. I have this dynamic within this group that, if I keep up this image of myself as this type of person, overcompensating for like the humor and like how he says fuck like every other word.
Yeah.
I feel like that is to the movie's benefit, because I feel like you feel that effect when the movie's going along and he starts shutting down more and more and he's not talking as much, and you lose that and you realize, oh, this guy is like in genuine pain if he's not trying to project this sort of like confident image of himself. Am I making sense?
No, you are, but like
I feel like there is an intentionality there.
There can be. I'm not saying that there can't be. I agree. I just think it wasn't it was poorly cast.
I disagree.
I think it was like I didn't enjoy him at all. Like, and I get it. Like the other the Charlie Plummer kid felt like out of.
You didn't like him either,
dude. Like those two
What?
felt so much like, hey, like this movie's about guys walking. We're going to make sure that you were entertained while you're watching it, as opposed to like there could have been more subtleness about their intentions and what was going on, to where they felt so much like archetypes on what they were trying to portray.
I disagree completely. I feel like Charlie Plummer's character was introduced maybe as sort of an idea of that. Put this kid in here who is like, oh, we're going to set him up as being like the villainous one who's got more nefarious intents, going to screw these guys over.
It's subversive.
But then you start to see more of like the human cracks in him and like the like sort of inner conflict that he's dealing with as the movie goes along, and I feel like it plays it very well and effective. I can feel how this would play out in this way by watching his performance.
I needed it to be more okay, and this is me being like just too fucking literal. You are walking. They like it's. It's just so hard for me to say, because like they walk 5 straight days. They don't sleep. I'm like, I don't know if I could think of a person that stayed up for 72 straight hours without drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is so like, all right, I'm just going to get behind like what's going on. The energy, the level, the subtleness of what can happen. Like, don't give me the mile markers then, or give me, I don't need to, because once you start to show me where they're at and what's going on and the energy that's being created without rest, it feels like it's stepping away from where they're actually at in the environment and what is occurring. So while I agree with both of them having intentionality, I just think they missed the mark. I think both of them were playing a little bit too, they were overacting. I just feel like they were both kind of a little bit too much on the nose with what they were going for. And I
don't know. I feel like their performances are very like kind of emotion forward. And in a movie in which like you kind of have to rely on character dialogue and interactions and like establishing these relationships, I feel like that is justified in my opinion.
Here's my argument.
Yes.
You take 2 other people and put them in that role, you're going to have the same dialogue and the same bonding. If they lay it down, like you're going to get you like the characters. The performances are derived from the characters and they get within the character, but it doesn't mean that the performance is great. The character is just well written. It's a really well written script, and everything that's going on within it is done well. I think someone could have placed Ben Wang and did just as good, if not better job, and Charlie Plummer. Like, I just couldn't get behind a little bit of maybe in the bravado or whatever that they're trying to portray. And that's where, I mean, like, you like that? I did not get behind it. It wasn't a plus or a minus.
Yeah.
Like, but I was like, every time that Ben Wang started going on, I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm watching like a guy, talking to his friend Texas and like, what are you going to do when you get home? Let's, like just is really, I don't know. I mean, I guess their lines or whatever they were doing just did not hit the mark.
It's interesting because I almost felt the complete opposite of how I perceived the dialogue versus the performances, because when I first watched this movie, I thought to myself, I'm liking the performances, I'm liking these actors, I'm liking the story and the characters. Is the dialogue a little too hokey for my liking? Because it is sort of that, and this movie is written by J.T. Mulliner, who wrote Strange Darling, which I thought had excellent dialogue. I thought to myself, is this a little too Stephen King-y for my liking in this movie that's supposed to be like serious and bleak and like has this premise that's like, has all these stakes for these characters. And then as the movie goes along, it wins me over. Mm-hmm. It justifies itself because there is this earnestness there, establishing the relationships between the characters that I think, yeah, maybe someone could watch this movie and think the dialogue's a little hokey, but I think it only helps the movie's earnestness.
I don't think the dialogue's hokey at all.
I don't think it is either. I had that thought when I first watched it. I was like, oh, is this not something that I think clicks with the rest of this? But then, it won me over.
What movie we were just taught? Was it Weapons? Like Weapons, like it's hard to replace Brolin in that film.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm like. There's
Hard,
performance.
hard to think that Pascal would have done a better
That's
job.
what I'm saying. But like, if you tell me Ben Wayne comes out and give me the next guy, I feel like I would go, yeah, he could probably hit it, like do just as well, if not better. That's where I get it. I mean, like I this thing's like really well written, and for people walking and just getting executed, like there's a lot of pondering thoughts,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
And I did like the Charlie Plummer character, like you said, like, you know, the cracks and what was going on. You know, he's just an oddball and he's saying dumb shit and probably just is like, you know, missing a circuit or two.
It felt like to me he was trying too hard to like make friends with them, and then when that didn't work, he sort of regressed into like lashing out and being like really defensive about, you know, his actions, and like what ultimately got like another kid killed. And then you see the guilt kind of rack up in him the further it goes along.
See, that's what I'm saying though, but it's like you lay it so hard on, like, oh man, your mom was giving blowjobs at the gas station, like blah blah blah, and it's like, oh man, like he couldn't handle it. Wow, like I needed something that was either very much like I have a strategy behind this, or like I just don't connect with people, and like he just played it so wacky to me. Like I don't know how many I do know people like that, but they also like you don't pick up on social cues at all, right? Like you're not understanding that what's going on, probably from an energy state and an emotional state. Like it just seemed too much of like if that wasn't strategic to me, and like he didn't do that to get that kid killed, like you were so far removed from society, right?
I think that's kind of how I viewed him, honestly.
Right, but
Yeah.
give me a backstory. Give me something a little bit more, because then he has the understanding. It's like, oh, I can connect to people, but I understand like I really messed up. That's what I'm saying. Like the confliction between what's going on. Like someone that's that far out there doesn't have that other balance. Like you're not just gonna go like, oh God, got that guy killed. Like, oh, I'm taking myself out from the guilt and shame. Like you just don't understand what you did. And then if you do understand what you're doing, you knew you egged them on. So there is some guilt and shame behind that, but like you'd be able to pick up on the cues of what was happening. You know, unless he's just a straight bully. But in the end, I don't want that ending of like, let me make friends. You know, like I feel like there's such a disconnect with that character and what he was going for. It just felt like he was kind of in there to keep the story going along. But I really did like if there was a little bit more behind it, right, with some of what he was thinking, I would have been able to get behind him more. I was actually upset that they just kicked him out like that, because I wanted more out of his character on like what was happening behind the scenes. And I think maybe that's why I'm a little harder on him, because it felt so, you know, it just felt too wonky for me. But like if he had had a little bit more time, and we would have got to understand his background a little bit more, I probably would have got behind it. And that's where
Yeah, I get that. I feel like I got enough of his sort of personality and background just through like his behavior and the things that he says. Like anytime he mentions his father, he like slaps himself. You infer from that okay, maybe he was in an abusive relationship with his dad or whatever.
Right.
Or just like the idea that when he says, yeah, I always get off on the wrong foot with people. And this is, you know, towards the end of his character's arc.
I mean,
you finally get the idea of like, oh yeah, this guy just like doesn't know how to interact with people in a healthy way.
Right.
Like there's no healthy social interaction that he's ever had in his life where he knows, you know, when to slow down and when to speed up. Like I don't know, that stuff to me was enough for me to get behind it.
Yeah, I just wanted a little bit more out of that. And like Ben Wang's character, like, you know, talking about the confidence and what he was doing it for.
Yeah.
You know, like some of it, I don't know. I mean, not to be like dumb audience member, but like just a little bit more meat on the bone would have helped me out just a little bit more to get behind some of them. Because some of them I really picked up on, or at least I liked their outlook on life.
Yeah. I like I don't know. I enjoyed the balance of focus on certain characters as opposed to others. Like you got Richard Harkness, played by Jordan Gonzalez.
Liked him.
The kid with the book. I really liked him.
Yeah.
I thought he had the perfect amount of screen time for his character.
Yep.
I thought that his sort of arc was like narratively satisfying and tragic.
Yep.
And the fact that he managed to walk on that broken ankle for however long, like hours after it happened.
Talking about the guy.
So not only
glasses.
did he like wreck his ankle on.
Is that who you attached to when you did it? You were like, "That's my guy."
No, my guy. So I'll point out who I would be in this situation.
Okay.
I'd be the guy shitting his pants, getting shot in the head. Can we? Okay. I want to circle back to that scene for a little bit because I want to talk about the amount of like existential dread I felt watching that.
Okay.
But no, you get the idea that Richard Harkness is like, not only did he survive the uphill with a broken ankle, he continued to walk for hours after that. And it's like, I don't know how many people could have done that specific thing.
I am a proponent that we are like created from a single cell organism and that we've gotten to this point in life simply by survival. And like, I think when you live in the comfort of your own home, it's hard to imagine that. But like, if you were dropped off in the woods, like you would do whatever it takes. Like your body your brain will not allow you just to say like, I'm gonna go to sleep right now and just call it.
Yeah.
Like there's so many mechanisms in there to keep going because like that's just what we are, right? Mm-hmm. Like we are programmed to keep on going until the body shuts down. So like watching that, I mean, you applaud the guy, and it's like I bet you, like he probably was at 1% when he finally had to stop.
Yep, the adrenaline finally wore off, or like whatever it was that was carrying him through.
It finally got there, and I think that's probably why he was. That's why it's like you just start breaking down and crying because it's like, oh my god, like if this isn't like this, I could give so much more, But like unfortunately, I'm tapped.
And then finally, Joshua Ojic as Kali Parker, he's sort of like kind of rebel,
the Navajo
indigenous guy.
Yeah. I thought that's who you were talking about. I liked Harkness and I liked this guy.
Yes,
I enjoyed where he was at with his kind of like if you go to Vietnam time, the protesting, sticking up for my rights, kind of fed up with the system because I've been in it, and I'm curious about all these kids too. Like when you think about the system and like their stories.
So it's sort of implied because like Ray has dialogue with Pete about, or he has this theory about how nobody truly signs up for the long walk because everybody is in such a piss poor economic state that their only way out of that horrible poverty is to sign up for the long walk.
Yep.
And so like the idea of that is that, if you throw people in a vat and offer one way of escape, everybody's going to try to take that way of escape. And so henceforth, nobody actually signs up for the long walk.
Yeah, it's like an oxymoron.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a way in which like, people are conditioned to feel like, this is the only chance I have at a decent living.
Yep.
So I want to talk about a little bit about the like costume designs and like the sort of feel of the movie, the tone of it. I really enjoy how, because in the book, at least from what I could infer on the cover, the characters are dressed in like, kind of track marathon outfits. Like they've got the piece of paper with their number on it. They've got
it pinned.
Yeah, they've got the pin. They've got like the track outfit. They're in like high socks and like running shorts and like tank tops or whatever. I like that in this movie they make them look like Vietnam veterans or like soldiers coming home from war.
Yep.
And instead of like a pin like you would wear in a marathon, they have dog tags.
Yep.
And I really enjoy that as like a visual cue of not only like a metaphor for the Vietnam War itself, how we're sending these young men into this like awful situation, which they'd have little to no choice, but you're also evoking the idea that the reason why Stephen King wrote The Long Walk was in direct response to Vietnam. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I really enjoyed that as like I think it would have taken me out of the movie a little bit if they had actually dressed them up as marathon runners. Yeah. Would have felt a little too like tongue-in-cheek, I feel like.
You give them all a little bit of their own personal identity, which is something that even though they're all kind of clashing in that same uniformity, each of them, there's like kind of choices here and there where you could get a little bit of a sense of identity, right? Mm-hmm. I did also like when it's funny because I didn't know anything about this thing, and as soon as I they hand out the dog tags and you're looking at them. It's like, oh, is Stephen King kind of envisioning a life, in this dystopian state of, how the Vietnam War has affected these people, or like what would have happened, And I did enjoy the look of it, and kind of really with those images, invoking those thoughts. Because I don't think, like you mentioned, if they were in a track outfit and tube socks and a pin number on them,
a headband, yeah,
I'd have no fucking clue, And this
Yeah.
this did a good job, at least taking maybe like what the sense of the book was for, and placing it in front of your eyes. Yeah, no, I keep thinking about this movie as a direct correlation to capitalism, but
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think there's several themes that this is why it probably makes it such a great fucking story.
Well,
is
the
that
whole
there's-
reason they have the long walk, Mark Hamill's character, the Major, says we inspire economic boom and progress.
it wasn't necessarily for that, but it's like, if you think about it, we're all, you take the poor class or the middle class and you put them out there, right?
We see an uptick in productivity every time we do this.
It's not that. It's you get out, you start your job, you start your living, right? And you just keep going, and the only way is climbing over these people, right? And
Oh yeah,
the only way to get rich. And so they're talking about the state that they're in and why they're doing this, and that's why you keep going. But it's all, like you mentioned, life pops up too. I couldn't help but thinking about this is like, you start going and you don't stop. Like you got your 9 to 5 until it's over.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a couple different things that really pop out with the thing, but I think that's what makes it a good story.
Let's talk about the ending before we wrap up.
Hey.
I wasn't entirely sure how I felt about the ending the first time I watched it, but the second time I watched it, I was like a little more like, okay, I see what this movie's going for.
Yeah.
You weren't a fan?
You liked it because you liked the movie.
I liked it because I think it
It's all right, man.
I think it's appropriate for the arc of Ray's character and the arc of Pete's character, and how their relationships kind of mirror each other in a way that's like, oh, Pete is kind of helping Ray grow throughout the process of going on this walk. Because the beginning, his intentions are, I'm going to win, I'm going to get the gun, I'm going to kill the Major.
Yep.
And as the journey progresses, you see them help each other, primarily Pete helping Ray more and more, and like lending a hand, and they form this sense of brothership, this kinship, this friendship, whatever you want to call it. And instead of using his wish to win and to get the gun and shoot the Major, ostensibly Ray uses his wish to do what Pete was going to do in that situation, which is to let him win and to give Pete his wish that he wants. And then because of how the events transpire, Ray gets killed and Pete wins the race, or I guess not the race, the long walk. And because he's so heartbroken and in shatters over his friend, his brother, dying in front of him, he decides to ask for the carbine as his wish, shoots the Major, kind of enacts Ray's wish posthumously, walks off into the distance. And I don't know, the more I kind of like reconcile with that ending, the more I appreciate its intentions. Tonally, I don't know if it entirely landed for me. It was one of those things where the framing of it was a little confusing. They went for sort of a more ambiguous ending in which there's a bunch of people around, and then when he shoots the Major, the people are all gone in the next shot. And then he kind of like looks into the distance with all the street lamps and like whatever, which is a visual that I love.
Yeah,
and he walks off into it, and you don't entirely know, like, did he get shot? Is this like a dream that he's in now? Is this actually taking place? Like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes ambiguous endings can have this element of it being a cop-out. Like, we don't want to stick to one specific thing, so we're just going to blanket this scene and dress it in a lot of, like, it could be this way, it could be that way. And I appreciate what it was going for, but did it entirely work for me? Not 100%.
Yes, I don't know. They kind of cornered themselves on where they had to go.
Yeah.
Like it's unfortunate. I mean, you just kind of, the story isn't about the ending. The story is about the journey.
And I appreciate
Right.
that it never gets to that point where, you know, oh, they figure out a way to get out of it and they
Yes.
save like 5 of them and blah, blah, blah.
It's kind of like it, you know, it's one of those things where it happens and you're like, yeah. I mean, like I can't knock. I don't think it was well executed or well done. Like you said, it's ambiguous, and I do like a little bit more thinking about it. That, you know, the sacrifice that Ray makes, that Pete makes, the sacrifice of his wish to maybe not avenge. Like, so that's what kind of annoyed me too. Is like, dude, you can't live out of vengeance, you can't live out of spite, you can't live out of, oh, hey, give me that gun. You know, and if it's more so honoring his dead friend's wish, I respect that a lot more than think about it on the opposite end of going against completely what your words were and who you've solidified yourself as a person this whole time.
Yeah, and I think I like to think of it more in that framing of like,
Yeah.
this, when he says this is for Ray,
Yeah.
I don't think it's from a place of like vengeance. I think it's from a place of like, this wish is for Ray.
Yeah, I'm honoring my fallen. Like, I'm gonna make maybe, you know, have all this money because I didn't pick up on the street. To me, it felt like it was just kind of like popped them, and then like everything we get into the mind of Pete,
Yeah.
right? Like it's now all of a sudden it's
Very
over.
insular. Yeah.
Yes, and it's just kind of like we're gonna build this in, and maybe that's where you get into some of that like surrealism there. You know, the ambiguity of the ending. So I'm not a fan, but not like, oh, that's the worst ending ever. It's just there.
Yeah. You weren't like ruin the movie.
Well, yeah, and and where do you go? Like once again, you know, it's some of these
Right.
simple stories that you have. You kind of corner yourselves into what the outcome's going to be.
I tell you what, I'm not jealous of them for having to try to figure out how
Yeah.
to do that, because God knows what I would have cooked up. It would have been complete shite.
Did you read anything on the? Did you see anything on the ending of the book?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm not going to hop in there, but
Right.
it was something like we're going to try to honor some of this, but we also want to have
The book is a lot more like surreal.
Yeah, and it kind of fits into a little bit of, because you're talking about alternate universe, right? An
Yeah.
alternate reality of what's happening and what's going on. So I think there's way more leeway in that regard. But yeah, it kind of ended, and I was like, all right, it might have knocked off half a star for me, like just because it's really. I really like the journey, man. And it's like you get to that ending, like what can you do? And I don't know in what other world or what other alternate reality someone else has an ending for it. I'd be curious. I just don't
Right.
think that there's anything that you're gonna do that's gonna be like, yep, that was it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's one of those things where like you said, the journey is the point. 2 things I want to talk about before we wrap up. We didn't talk about Mark Hamill's performance in this
Loved
movie.
him, dude. I didn't
Thought
even know
he
that
was
was
fucking
him.
great.
I didn't even know that was him. I saw
So the second time I watched this, it was with my friend Chris, and we got out of the theater, and he was like, dude, I love the guy who played the Major. Who was he? And I'm like, that's Mark Hamill. He's like, that's Mark Hamill? I'm like, yeah, dude. Mr. Star Wars himself,
Dude.
playing the Major. Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
reading IMDb trivia, and Mark Hamill was saying, you know, I don't know if he crafted not necessarily the ending, but kind of like his performance was hedging on how the ending went. And he said, I'll know I did a really good job if I get cheers at the end of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a test audience, and you know, they said, yeah, you could hear him kind of, woo, you know, or whatever it was. And he goes, I knew I did my job. And I'm like, wait. I go back up. I'm like, Mark Hamill? Like, no fucking way.
Yeah, dude.
Pull it up on IMDb. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, oh, he did so great. I thought he was fantastic.
He was great. He's in like this military garb and sunglasses the entire time. The only time in which his wardrobe ever changes is he's in the poncho at the end because
Yeah.
it's raining.
Yeah. Dude, so like now that is one that I get behind of being like out of touch, not necessarily overacting, but he's got like, he runs the world, right?
He's basically he's like an image of like totalitarianism.
Yeah.
like condensed down into a single person.
Yeah, but not even like in the sense of like where you think of these awful people, right? Like it's like literally like, hey, you're doing the long walk and you're gonna get to the end, and then you will be justified with your fame and your glory and your money, right?
I love that scene in which he's spatting on, and then Cooper Hoffman's like, "Will you please shut the fuck up? I'm sick of listening to all this stupid bullshit." And his response is, "That's the spirit, my boy.
Yeah.
Flex that sack."
Yeah, I was like, I love this. This is a guy that completely, he doesn't give a shit. It's literally like facing the crowd. Here's your prize. Next year we're doing it
He
again.
just says like action figure catchphrases the entire time.
which is, that's what I'm saying. Like totally like literally just doing it to be the image of this dystopian state.
Yes.
Right? And it's like
The face of it, yeah.
he's not going to give any sort of emotion whatsoever. And even at the end when he's got the gun pointed at him, like I'm like,
He's like, "The prize is yours.
yeah, well, and
Put the gun down, son."
think about, and it's like probably a guy that's that out of touch though, that would be his like, I can control the situation.
Yep.
I'm not pleading for my life. I'm the fucking major,
Yeah.
But I thought, I thought he was great. I was like, I'm digging the major dude,
Yeah. One more scene I want to talk about, and I teed this up earlier.
Oh God.
The shitting
Your favorite scene?
Not my favorite scene. The scene that I think affected me the most. Because I'm watching this movie and I'm thinking, okay, this is like kind of naked face showing the brutality of what would happen in this situation.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because my horrible diet and the fact that I'm on the toilet 24/7. But seeing that guy unable to walk because he's shitting so much.
Yeah.
And then to have him like squatting as he's crying, knowing he's going to die, and then just get shot in the head is like maybe the bleakest scene in this movie for me.
Oh.
Because imagine you're that guy and you're in that situation. Your last moment is just like shitting on the ground in front of all these people and then getting shot in the head. And now you're on the ground as a corpse covered in blood and shit.
Yeah.
And it's just awful. It is horrible. Yeah. And it really like weirdly affected me in a way that I still think about.
It's probably because you're like, that's me.
That like,
that's
yeah,
right,
I watch representation matters. I'm seeing myself on the screen.
Like, because like when you're doing this, you just think, all right, how far could I get? Where could I get to? When would I tap?
Yeah.
How long is this? I've never stayed up for 40. I've stayed up for 40 straight hours in my life once. Right? Like, what's the energy? What am I like? How strong is my spirit? And then so you see that, and like you go to that guy, and you're like, I will never sign up for the long walk ever. No
matter how desperate.
I like, so the guy I'm like sitting there watching was who's the religious guy? Art.
Oh, Art. Yeah.
Art was the one. Art was the bleakest one to me.
Yeah.
Because I looked at that and I went, that guy literally has recognized that he's got nothing left in the tank and that this is it. Like, now to come to terms and to know the way that you're going to go out, they kind of, they talked about the beauty in this movie of being able to make that choice, and that he got to make that choice where others were kind of like, you're shitting, buddy, did not make that choice. Definitely did not have that on his bingo card on ways to go out. Mm-hmm. But when Art went down, I was like, dude, that's awful. Like, yeah. I think that's when it hit me. Like when I realized, I was like, oh, I'm conditioned or I'm desensitized right now, and then that kind of snapped me back into it, because like I just can't imagine being at zero and just being like, I gotta sit down. Yeah. I gotta sit down. I gotta stop walking, and I know that this is gonna be it. Like that, the fear just of having that happen, crash over you, But probably good that he was a religious man. I'm sure he came to Jesus.
It's also crazy that Art talked about how most guys are poop once a week type of guys. And
they definitely had their shitting.
I'm a poop once a day type of guy.
So what's funny, once again, because I'm so fucking literal, but Sam's ran a couple marathons. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing about like with that and running is that like because of how much energy I think is getting flushed out, like you can't control your bowel movements, so like totally believable. And that guy just was like just crapping everywhere, because like you'll see there's marathon photos of people that have shit down their legs.
Oh yeah,
because you just can't, all of your energy is poured into everything else. So I was like, it's just a really unfortunate but accurate depiction of what could happen on this thing. Like
Yeah.
you could, and it's not like, because I'm like, I don't know if he ate anything bad. Like I just, maybe he got to that point where it's just uncontrollable.
Yeah. Shall we get into ratings? That's the last thing we'll say about
Yeah,
this movie is the
yeah.
guy shitting in his pants. I think you go first.
I do. So I really enjoyed this thing. It was a curveball to me. I did not know what I was signing up for, and all of a sudden, once you get into the kinship of it all, the camaraderie, the brotherhood, development of the relationships. I mean, the outlooks on life as you're going through this, and the fact that you know that as you're going on this journey, at some point either you will win or you will die. And just the people elevating other people, it was very poetic to me. You know, I thought that there was a lot that could be gleaned on from society nowadays on what it looks like as you're, you know, if you're going with the approach of the rat race and you got to climb over each other, you could be like Stebbins, right? Or if you go with the approach of being able to help out your fellow man and your brother in arms, you know, you could be like Pete, you know, and just the outlook on things that can happen in your life. And I know he talked about it at one point. He just said, listen, Ray, it's how you look at it. Mm-hmm. And I've always been a big believer on perspective. So a lot of these things are touching chords that, you know, I've always had thoughts on and believed in. And I'm like, man, this is just coming to life and seeing it put in this way was great. None of the performances, and I know I kind of was like, I could have swapped out Ben Wang and Charlie Plummer. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they were bad. Like, that's not me going like they were shit in this film or distracted me. I
just not like stand out necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's probably like your little kid in 28 Days Later, you know? No, probably not. I don't have that much aggression towards them.
The daughter character in 28 Days Later? Yeah. Almost ruins the movie.
But no, the only thing that knocked it down for me was the ending. This thing ended. I went to go rate it immediately. I was going to give it a 9. And after the ending, I was like, just didn't quite scratch that itch. And it's unfortunate. I mean, it is more about the journey, but I'm not going to give it grace for missing out on that. Not to say they could have done better, but this is a very high 8 out of 10.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a solid rating. I think that's appropriate.
Yeah.
This movie pretty damn near worked very well for me. Mm-hmm. I love the journey. The ending, I think, worked for me a little bit as opposed to how it worked for you or didn't work for you.
You forced it to work because you love this thing.
You know, I'm not going to deny it.
It's like the No Country for Old Men ending.
I think that, to me, No Country's a little more solid in its ending, but
yes,
I do appreciate the whole of the picture that this movie is painting for me.
Yeah,
I enjoy basically the entire tapestry of it to certain degrees more than others. The performances, the characters, the dialogue really won me over the first time I watched it and solidified the second time. I enjoy all the character interactions, the relationships they establish, and just the premise, I think, works. It's simple, it's effective, and it's subversive in a way that doesn't feel patronizing or like tailored towards like movie expectations for audiences.
Yep.
Like, oh, we got to change it up so people aren't bored. It's like, no, this feels like a natural progression in how this would go.
Yeah.
And so I'm giving this movie a 9 out of 10.
Nice. Kind of thought
really loved this thing.
Thought you were going to go there, yeah.
Absolutely. Speaking of going there, Robert Downey Jr. ends up going to L.A. because he nails the audition unintentionally. I guess we'll find out.
Yes.
In our next discussion of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, your recommendation.
Yes, my recommendation. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Recommended, I think, because we were talking about Downey Jr. and you said you hadn't seen it. And
That's right.
This is a DVD movie. DVD meaning I own it. So
I was curious what that meant exactly, but
yeah.
Okay, literally a DVD movie.
Like so, to me, they're now. It's not like trading cards; they're almost like collectibles.
Yeah,
right. Like something now I don't have them in mint condition, but something that I'm like, oh, I would be willing to show. We've talked about it before. Your wine cellar. Movies.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring up the wine analogy.
Yes, your wine cellar. This is a wine cellar movie for me.
Oh, you have a Criterion version of Miller's Crossing, I see. Aged to perfection.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
That's a ooh. maybe future recommendation.
Okay.
Watched it for the first time like a month ago. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Coming out in 2005 at a sizzling hour and 43 minutes. Directed, as we've talked about, by Shane Black. Written by Shane Black, or adapted, I should say, based on the novel Bodies Are Where You Find Them. It says in part, so I'm sure they took creative liberties from their inspiration.
I'm sure.
Starring Robert Downey Jr. as Harry Lockhart, Val Kilmer as Gay Perry, Michelle Monaghan as Harmony Faith Lane.
Monahan.
What did I say? Monaghan?
Yeah.
Oh.
You put a
Monahan.
little too much Copenhagen Monaghan on it.
Yeah, that was a little too much sauce on there.
That's okay.
Corbin Burnson as Harlan Dexter, and Larry Miller as Dabney Shaw, the producer that finds Harry Lockhart. I thought there was more characters in this. I guess they're all just kind of like B characters.
It's pretty tight cast.
It is. It's just, I feel like there's so much dialogue and interactions happening with other people in
It
this
feels
thing.
like there's more people in this movie than there actually
Yeah,
are.
but they only have like 3 or 4 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, it's so fucking rapid fire.
It is. Movie starts out. We have our narrator kind of describing, give us a little bit of the exposition and backstory and how we got to where we're at. I think it's like titled like Harry's at the Party or something like that. We find out that Harry Lockhart is I wanted to say professional burglar. Are they professional at that point? I mean, it doesn't feel like a profession.
I think they're just seasoned burglars. You could probably
Seasoned, yeah. He's trying to steal a Christmas gift for what I'm assuming is a nephew.
I thought it was his daughter, but I don't know.
See. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think it is, just because like
Yeah,
the conference they only it pops up
never pops up again.
Yeah, and he never is like, oh, my daughter. So
Yeah.
trying to figure out the kid he was talking to. Anyways, things go awry, and he takes off in the streets, and he stumbles into a movie audition, and it just so happens, because of the shock that he's in and just the sheer emotional state, wins the audition and becomes identified as the next up-and-coming actor in this Hollywood movie or TV show. And then you start to find out between some of the exposition that, he had a life in Indiana. He had this old flame in Indiana. They used to read these books. God damn it.
I'm finding it right now.
Yeah, what with the book, the
Johnny Gossamer.
Johnny Gossamer books, right? And Johnny Gossamer was always in these, maybe not erotic noir situations, but definitely it looked that way from some of the covers and titles.
Yes.
That these kids read when they were like 8 and 9.
That's probably why they talk how they do.
Yeah, and so Harry is walking around and just by serendipity runs into the old flame that went from Indiana to LA because of her broken home, and we start to lead to more events unfolding as he's with Gay Perry, the detective that he's got to study to get ready for the role of being in this detective movie or show. And Gay Perry happens to be the consultant, if you will, or the character study, right?
Yeah.
And one thing leads to another, and all of a sudden they are now into this spy, well, maybe not spy, but noir detective nature in this poppy movie, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. So, spoilers for Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Spoilers for Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. If you haven't seen this, check this out. We'll be spoiling the hell out of it. So I watched The Nice Guys for the first time, like maybe less than a year ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. Wasn't like my favorite type of thing, but
Right.
the dynamic between Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling was really fun.
Yes.
And I enjoyed how unabashedly silly it got at many times throughout the movie.
Yeah.
And I was queuing this up, kind of seeing, oh, okay, who's in the cast? Robert Downey Jr., Val Kilmer. There's got to be a dynamic there. There's going to be something that is going to kind of like mirror that thing that I appreciated the most in a movie like The Nice Guys. And I'm watching this movie, and I I'm not trying to make you upset.
No, you got to lay it on, man.
I feel like I really enjoy the performances in this movie quite a bit. The dynamic that they have, specifically Val Kilmer and Robert Downey Jr., I think is very electric.
Yeah.
I feel like throughout a lot of this movie, the Shane Black dialogue just gets in the way of itself.
That's what I was curious about. This thing is...
It's one of those things where, like, if you like Shane Black dialogue, you're going to like this movie. And if you don't really like it, this movie's going to be a harder pill to swallow. And for me, it was a harder pill to swallow.
You did not get behind. See, this is kind of like Shane Black dialogue. I'm trying to think of like what dialogue movies he has.
So Iron Man 3 is one that he directed, probably because of the Robert Downey Jr. connection. And then The Predator, which I mentioned earlier. Nice Guys. And I don't know if I've seen any of his other movies that he's written on but hasn't directed. I know that this movie was kind of in a response to The Last Kiss Goodnight, which I don't think was a huge success for him.
No.
But I watched this movie and it's like, okay, I see what he's going for. A very kind of like rapid fire satirization of LA and like people who live there and the culture around it.
Yeah.
And how it's sort of making fun of the like hard boiled detective noir type of framework for movies.
Yeah.
And I get that.
A lot of satire.
Lot of satirization.
Don't you like irony?
That's the thing, Mac. This movie is choking with irony. It is like filled to the brim so much that I feel like I'm spilling everywhere. And
I think this was irony before irony was like a thing.
Yeah, and I feel like
Maybe of the time.
I watch this movie and I'm like, okay, I can see why someone would watch this performance from Robert Downey Jr. and think that's Tony Stark, or oh, you got a really great performance from Val Kilmer, sort of a different type of character that he's played up until that point, and I really like his dynamic in the movie with Robert Downey Jr. specifically. I feel like a lot of their back and forth, a lot of the back and forth between like a lot of different characters in this movie, for me was hit or miss.
Oh, big time.
Like,
yeah.
What are we just kind of like rapid fire throwing everything we can into this script, into the dialogue of these characters, and having a few moments stand out to me as like, oh wow, that's pretty funny, and then like a lot of them just don't really land. There's like, I don't know if I can like really get into the specifics right now. I'm sure as we'll discuss it further,
dude,
I'll think of some
you
things.
Can't just go in attacking it and then not have specifics.
The scene in which Robert Downey Jr. is at the bar and he sees Michelle Monaghan.
Oh yeah,
for the first time, like since she's grown up or whatever, he doesn't recognize her immediately. He just knows that, oh, this is the girl at the party that I thought I was saving, and then I got my ass kicked, which is a funny scene.
There's one. I'm gonna remember all these funny scenes.
The dynamic that he has with her at the bar.
Walk away.
Right.
Walk away.
There's like some funny moments, but to me, it just kind of felt. I don't know if annoying is the right word.
Oh,
or just
for sure.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's meant to feel annoying, but I don't like that. I not a fan of that.
It's irony that you don't like irony.
I don't like irony when it feels like it's being weaponized so much in a movie like this.
I don't know. Yeah.
I feel like, okay, so The Nice Guys to me, and I'm going to make this comparison point a lot. The Nice Guys to me had like the right amount of irony, this animosity that the characters have at the beginning, and then it kind of gradually grows into something more tied together. Right, you get the idea. You finally fully get the idea of like what Ryan Gosling's character is, what Russell Crowe's character is, how they're sort of fumbling their way through this, but there is this chemistry they have with each other that like, oh, this carries through, and it doesn't feel like the dialogue is bogging it down at all. In this one, it just feels like because there's so much of it, it's like I'm getting lost in whatever it is I'm supposed to be keeping track of.
Yeah,
and maybe that's part of it too. Is like I wasn't fully engaged or like following what this movie was going for all the time, and it was kind of losing me at certain moments.
This thing is so. I saw this in 2012, 2013. I really liked it. Like there's and obviously like being of the time and seeing movies close to like when they came out, you're kind of put in that place, and some of these movies do get time stamped. In terms of like comedic senses, like I hadn't really seen anything that was quite this fast paced noir level, dealing with like a very maybe intricate plot, but not necessarily intricate, right? It's just funny, like it's like, hey, we're attaching these points together at some point, right? So just kind of watching that, but not necessarily leaning or making sure that that's at the forefront of what they're concerned about. Because this thing is like watching it the other night when I watched it, I was like, oh, they don't give a shit about the plot. Like, that's just something that they have thrown in there. It's like, how loosey goosey can we get with this thing? Like Shane Black wanted to write this just because he thought he had a shit ton of funny jokes.
And I feel like I would have benefited, and I think this is a lot of like my perception of the film as I'm watching it.
Well, yeah, dude.
I would have been right. I would have benefited if I had just kind of like let my concerns with like the plot or the writing go and just like let it wash over me a little bit more. Because I'm watching this trying to be like more discerning of like, all right, why are they doing this? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah,
what is the point of any of this? And
I'm gonna be totally upfront.
Yeah,
I had to do film, so I'm breaking down film. I had it on, and I was like, it's like I'm watching it. I'm doing football, watching it, and I get to points where I'm like, "Fuck, I forgot what happened. I don't remember why they're here," because it's just so fat, like it's just breakneck speed, right?
Yeah,
you miss out on a couple things. It can be a detriment because now all of a sudden you're trying to go back through your pacing, through the marks. So like, how do we get here? Like, what's going on? That you lose a little bit of the dialogue. And I do think that's the problem with the film itself, is that because they wanted to be so witty with it and have these I thought the characters were unique because I hadn't really seen.
Yeah, I mean the characters I liked.
Yeah, and like it's when I don't know, because I do like, I love the plot premise and how it's off the Gossamer book and it's like something that's happening in real time with it, and I thought, I don't know, I think it's very unique in that sense, but I do think that this thing's a little bit dated,
yeah, like dated in a way that it's still fascinating. Like I can never say I was bored watching this movie. That's for sure.
No, you can't. I don't think there's like anyone.
I think it's impossible to be bored watching this.
Yeah, this thing is like a fucking like PowerPoint presentation on crack.
Yeah,
right?
But it just like there's so many moments in this movie where I just like felt so out of breath with the dialogue and the interactions. I wrote can I read you my review that I wrote on Letterboxd?
Yeah.
Because I feel like it perfectly summates my thoughts on this. I wrote, felt like Shane Black directed this on 2 hours of sleep with cocaine for breakfast.
Yeah.
Was like the vibe that I had in my experience with this film. Is just like, okay, I get what you're doing. I get what you're going for. You're going for this like rat-a-tat, like, 200 words a minute dialogue, and it can be effective. I think it is effective in a lot of different instances in this movie.
Yeah.
Specifically when it's situational. When it's Robert Downey Jr. getting into these scenes just by pure happenstance or like stumbling into something or whatever.
It was almost like a noir Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, it's like, oh wow, this is incredible how horrible of luck this guy has. Of like going from getting your fingers cut to like passing out in the back of a car to having that car stolen and then being witness to a girl's murder, getting out of the bed, killing the guy who killed her, getting the dog who comes and gets the finger from you. Well, now your finger's at the crime scene. You're going to be caught with evidence or whatever. And then the dog swallows it. It's all good. It's like, holy shit. I'm enjoying like the different physical points in which this movie is leading me.
Yeah.
I like the journey of it. It's just the words in between, I feel like kind of cloud it for me.
Yeah. I think there's so many throwaway lines on this thing. Maybe that's why I just appreciate it too, because there's just so many like small little quips here and there. And then like when you talk about subverting expectations, like I feel like that happens a shit ton in this thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned, like going to the party and he's sitting there, he's very confident, walk away. You don't want to see what happens. And then the very next scene is him just getting his fucking ass beat.
Yep.
And then they show up to the bar and it's like, oh my God, you're the girl. And and then you find out he gets hammered and sleeps with the friend because he doesn't have enough confidence to take her home.
Yep.
There's a lot of I guess maybe what I did with this thing is I step away from the plot itself and I just put it's like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You're just looking at the friendship or the dynamic between the two characters with Gay Perry and Robert Downey. And like if you don't think about like keeping up with the plot itself of just like where they're at, I think that maybe that's more in the lens of how I view it, in which I get a lot of the humor out of, because like I said, some of it is outdated, but some of it, I mean, it's still I chuckled quite a bit.
Yeah, I didn't have a terrible time with this movie. There's quite a few things that I enjoyed. The dynamic between the characters was really fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed despite despite the dialogue, I do enjoy the kind of breakneck pace to an extent.
Yeah.
Like I think that it serves the intention of what Shane Black is going for.
Yeah.
And it feels like it is poking at the like, oh, we're hard-boiled detective noir story in a way that's like, oh, it doesn't feel like it's throwing away the whole genre or like disrespecting it. It is
right.
It is kind of like paying homage to that while still framing it in a way that's like, yeah, half romantic comedy, half like crime thriller. Because I guess that's kind of what the title is in reference to, right? Kiss, Kiss, Bang, Bang is like... Because the original title for this was something along the lines of like "You only die in L.A. once" or something, or "You only die once in L.A."
Yeah, that would also fit, I think.
Right, it would fit, but I think "Kiss Kiss Bang Bang" as a title is like, oh, this is like simple, effective, it's memorable.
Yeah.
Like I'm never gonna forget this as
cheeky,
a title.
Yeah,
cheeky, and yeah, it just like matches the tone of what Shane Black is going for.
Yeah. I think it also takes some of the machismo of having these, like you said, hard-boiled detectives. You know, the guy that's got the bottle of scotch in his thing, and he's got a 44 caliber with one round in it. You know, it's either for you or for me, depending on how much I've had to drink.
Yep.
You know, and I'm gonna go home. I'm a womanizer. You know, you got Downey in this thing that can't catch a break, but also he's got zero confidence. Like he gets into the bed with Michelle, Harmony. Right, and he can't pull the trigger on it, right? And you got, he gets to a point, I think they're about to kiss, and then he finds out that she slept with his best friend. So there's still like, there's so many throwbacks in this thing too, in which they have these pieces of dialogue that you just think are like whatever, and then they come back to it. I love throwbacks, like because he talks about it very little, the Gay Perry, and he says, like she's the one that got away, but as soon as I liked her, like she said she slept with everyone, but she didn't sleep with my best friend. And he was like, he'd go like Chuck, whatever his name is, right?
Yeah,
Rockney or something like that. And he says all of it, and he says, and that's probably why I still like her, because she never slept with him. And then Gay Perry's like, Chuck Rockney, he's gay. He just walks off, like, he's not even listening to the fucking story, right? Yeah. Like, this guy's pouring out all of his emotions about, like, this girl and how he's like, man, I can't believe, like, serendipity, right? And then he's just like, yeah, that guy you're talking about's gay. And then they come back, smash cut, we're towards the end of the thing when they're supposed to be doing the kiss for romantic effect, and then he finds out, he's like, fuck you.
Yeah, there's a lot of like kind of turns and like tonal shifts that this movie takes.
Irony. It's probably all that.
Yeah, but I mean, some of it does work, and some of it gets a little lost on me a little bit.
It does. There are scenes where it's kind of like, I don't want to say too much, but you've maybe for more dramatic effect, they kind of bypass that. They for wit, they put in more dialogue than they would something else. So like some of the time when you get to these points where you're supposed to have like this, like, oh, here it is, it just doesn't come because they sacrifice the dialogue or just this unbelievable circumstance as opposed to actually something that would be maybe tailored in realism.
Yeah. Val Kilmer, feel like we got to touch on him.
He's fucking great. Yeah,
I think probably I don't know whose performance I like better in this movie, RDJ's or Val's. We've talked a lot of Val on this podcast. With we covered Heat, Island of Dr. Moreau, Mission to Mars. I feel like there's like a few others that I'm not thinking of, right? Matt can maybe do a little peeky research while
Mission or Top Gun, both of them.
Or Red Planet was the one he was in, right? Mission to Mars was the Gary Sinise one.
Yeah, it's hard.
Top Gun, Maverick, yes. And now this
and
movie.
Top Gun.
Did
We
we?
didn't-
I don't know if we discussed
Then we
fully.
do. We didn't do both of them. I thought we did them together
No, we did Cat in the Hat.
with Top Gun Maverick.
I think so.
The hell. So instead of doing Top Gun Maverick, we went Cat in the Hat and Top Gun Maverick.
Because it was my turn to recommend a movie. And the popular one at the time was Top Gun Maverick. And I was like,
Well,
well,
I was like, I'm already going to see that.
we were maybe a little less discernible about pairing movies then. But I got a good recommendation for next episode.
Yeah.
For pairing a movie that's coming out.
Okay.
Which I'm thinking you'll agree with me once you think
Like
of it.
there's one coming out next week that I think that we both like said we have to see.
Yes. Yeah, I think we can be in agreement without saying what it is right now.
Oh, I can't actually think of what it is. So like when you say it, I'm gonna go, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Because right now I am drawing a fucking blank. But I've known like we kind of talked about it and said like, oh, this doesn't work out, but it's next week and it's probably yeah. Anyways,
But no, Val's great in this movie. I like how you get Shane Black. I appreciate his writing of this character as a subversion of what people would expect a gay character would be in a movie up to that point, right? Because you've got like movies in the early mid 2000s that come out that are still like fairly cracking jokes at the expense of gay
the
people.
Ghost in the Darkness.
That's right. Damn. Yeah, I knew there was like one more that I wasn't remembering.
Sorry. Yeah. Yes.
But you've got these movies that come out around this time period that are like, okay, we're kind of still lightly making fun of gay people in a way that feels mean.
Yes.
And I appreciate that Shane Black wrote this character as like, yeah, this is like a human first gay person is just part of his identity and like painting the whole picture. Because like,
Yeah.
He's very sarcastic. He's like got these quips that can
He's sassy.
He's sassy. He can tap for Robert Downey Jr.'s tit. Does that make sense? Like they have a back and forth that like it feels
He's
feels
got
natural.
confidence.
He's got confidence.
He as a person, he knows who he is, and he walks around, and that's kind of. I mean, he goes into the club. What did he say when he walked into the club and Harmony's talking to RDJ and she says something and she go, oh, who here hates Harry Lockhart? And they all raise their hand and he walks in and he's like, yeah, bitches be always calling or something like that. And someone throws a bottle at him and he ducks it, and he keeps walking. Like, yeah, he's just fun, man.
Mm-hmm. He's a fun character. I will say I did think of a specific in which the dialogue was sort of starting to get to me. Not to like completely circle back.
Because this is where I'm at with it because I think there are points.
There is a lot of sarcasm.
Yes.
From both characters.
Heavily brushed.
And I feel like it just gets repetitive after so long. Like the sarcasm is okay, I get it. These characters are sarcastic. They have this dialogue at the expense of each other. Like, cool.
Yeah.
Like some of it's funny even, but like I don't know. It just got very tiring after a while.
I'm not going to knock it at all because like I've said, the first time I watched this thing, I was like, oh my god, this is fantastic. And the more I watch it, I think the more I watch, it's more for the character relationship between Harry Lockhart and Gay Perry, and then everything else kind of is just there, right? So I do appreciate their sarcasm because like. With them, their individual states, that's who they are, right? But I mean, you have to have a little bit more possibly going on that would justify it. But like I said too, I mean, everything's like kind of a joke to them in the situation that they're in,
right?
If one's taking it seriously, the other one isn't, and vice versa. So, but I enjoy it. So,
I love how specifically when talking about Robert Downey Jr., Shane Black was like, yeah, I was able to keep this movie at a modest budget because Robert Downey Jr. was cheap. And including him in my movie didn't cost me a whole lot because the guy was in prison. So,
that's kind of how that got brought up, right? It's like this was like one of the first ones back that he got a shot on.
Yeah. This is one of the ones in which like, okay, this is obviously like, the reason why this movie is able to function as it is because you're able to hire Robert Downey Jr., an actor of renown, but has problems and, this perception about him in the public. But you watch him in this movie and he's electric. He's on fire.
Yeah.
And he's so able to like slip into that like rat-a-tat dialogue so easily. It's like, yeah, I could easily see like Jon Favreau watching this movie and being like, that's Tony Stark right there. Like that's what I want the character to embody, is like this energy. Maybe not like as manic or as like, neurotic, but
I was just saying, like, Tony Stark to me is like the ultimate, like, I'm the best.
right.
Like, so up his own ass, where is Harry Lockhart in this feels so insecure, where everything that he's doing, he isn't quite sure if that's the right move, but that charisma that he has.
And I think the genius casting of Robert Downey Jr. works so well is because, like, you can see how this guy would be a movie star. You also can't not associate him being a scuzzball pretty much the entire movie. Because the film starts out, he's like robbing a toy store.
Yeah.
And then he stumbles into an audition running away from the police. And it's like, you feel like you could see this guy belonging, but you also know he doesn't belong.
Dude,
in
it's
this environment.
It's the whole pool scene. I mean, he goes in there. So one of my favorite lines that I used to use after I saw this thing that I loved is, a girl walks up to him. She goes, like, what do you do? And he goes, oh, I invented dice, so I'm set for life. Mm-hmm. And it's just that it's, to me, it's so funny because one, he's kind of poking fun because he has this assumption about people, right, that allows him to operate in the way in which he operates. So he looked at that girl and was like, I could tell her fucking anything. She doesn't care. If I'm not a producer, she's gone, right? So, like, some of that assumed, just the know-how of the area he's in, right? But then he's walking along, and then all of a sudden you understand that he's got principles in life, right? He sees someone that's possibly going to be raped. He's got to stand up, and he has no idea how to fight, but he's going to fucking defend whoever. That's a complete stranger, but that's what he knows what's the right thing to do, right? And then that bravado that you see, and you think like, oh, that's our character, that's our hero in this film. And to the next scene of him just getting the absolute shit beat out of him, to understand like, oh, this guy just gets by.
Yeah.
And he's got a way of which he views the world, and that's what you're going to kind of just be with him the whole time and how he sees all the shit. And he's street smart, but he's not like process driven smart, right? Mm-hmm. Like, he has this understanding of the world around him, and he can make these he can stereotype people and put them into their silos, but at the same token, like, you get into some complex situations, like, he doesn't know the way out.
Yeah.
And that's where, and like you said, that's where Gay Perry kind of helps him out with, is that he's almost he's very cocksure, and he's very smart, and he can help out with that. And then, but I don't think that maybe he recognizes people, or maybe he does. I can't remember quite how Gay Perry, actually no, he does. Actually, he could just tell if people like were either homophobes or homosexuals.
Right. I love that scene in the bar in which he's like pointing out the different guys who just look like knockoff versions of celebrities.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's, Mexican Joe Pesci over there.
Indian. Navajo Joe Pesci, I think is what he said.
Right. And you're able to get the sense of like, this guy is charming. And Robert Downey Jr. is able to like weaponize that in a way that's like, yeah, that's totally believable. This is in his wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. But then also that paired with like just completely losing it over the revelation that she did sleep with his best friend.
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
Is really it is fun. It is fun.
Yeah,
it's a fun dynamic.
He's got it's the and that's kind of how Hollywood is too. Oh, I don't know. This is all assumptions, but like that's kind of the nature in which you have to operate, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you walk in and you could have kind of like the Gay Perry aspect of like, I know exactly what I want to do. I know who I am. Or you have the Robert Downey Jr. that you just have to fake everything long enough and try to take, like you said, weaponize your charisma, and fluff your feathers, even though you got, nothing behind you.
Yep.
And that's why I really like, I think that's why I enjoy about this thing is it's kind of like it's it's one stumbling idiot and then another guy who really doesn't even want to be there, which is, I think, is like why I love Val Kilmer in this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's because there's never the sense. Now,
it feels like he wants to leave the movie constantly.
Yeah, and it's not. It's his, like, I'm hoping. I hope it's his character and not just because he's like a narcissist, right? Where he's like, what did I sign up for? But like in the movie itself, like it always feels like, all right, I don't need to do the consultant job anymore. Like, I just want to go back to detective work or find the next producer that has to have the next guy that's got to study me while I do jack shit. Mm-hmm. Right? Kind of just floating by and just making money. And that's why I think, as he's coming in and out and he's getting really annoyed. And the other thing too with the relationship, they obviously have a kindred relationship, right? They become friends, but it never feels like they're friends.
Yeah.
Right?
It never feels properly like these guys would ever hang out outside of whatever situation they're in.
Yeah, take those two and take the two from the long walk. Who do you think is like going out to grab, like dinner, double date night, like whatever it is? Like who are you picking to
I'm picking Ray Garrity and
what I'm
Peter McVries.
Yeah, like that's
over
like
these two guys
like,
any day.
They're definitely like, oh, I could see them grabbing a beer at the end of the day where those two are like just getting by, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They only text each other whenever there's something that needs to be done.
Yeah, well, it'd probably be Downey Jr. texting him just nonstop, like dumb shit. You know, like, hey, did you catch this or did you watch that? Or by the way, did we have this going on Tuesday night? Because I have this like coming up and I don't know. And then just Gay Perry being like, oh my God.
Yeah, he just responds with K.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be in line with his character.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite scene in this movie, like one that stood out to you?
Dude, so the quote that you had, I love that quote. That was actually why I went and saw this thing. They had like there's this YouTube thing one time. It was like top 50 insults or something like that. Just like a 2.5 minute clip, and that scene popped up, and I was like, oh, that's really funny. Mm-hmm. I was like, like what movie is that? And I saw Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, so I watch it, and in terms of a favorite scene, I don't know if I have a favorite scene. To me, it's like all of these, like it's the quips in the dialogue, and it's I don't want to say satire, but just the irony of it all, of what they're talking about and the throwbacks. The ending might be one that I like quite a bit with Val Kilmer and the dad of Harmony.
Yeah,
that one felt very.
It's one of the very few moments in this movie that feels like genuinely serious.
Yeah, well, and you can it gives you a little bit more light that Val Kilmer does while having this kind of persona of not giving a shit, give a shit. Yeah. And there's a couple touching moments here and there. The spider scene, I can't remember. I thought was kind of odd every time I watch it, and then it turns out you get a little bit more about Robert Downey, and like he almost takes offense that he's trying to help someone and that she would assume the wrong thing of him, because like at the end of the day, that's his moral code, and that's all he's got to hang on to is I am a good person. For someone to accuse him of trying to do something nefarious as absolutely the last thing that you could do to him. I always admire that. There was a quote that popped up that I hadn't heard before. Probably, I was actually, my favorite scene is probably the whole first night out when they see it, the car goes right, and he gets the gun. There's a little gun in there, and he says, "That's my pistol," and he goes, "Why do you call it that?" Val Kilmer goes, "It's usually only good for 2 shots, and I'm on to the next."
Yeah, Mac used the word pistol in place of a different term.
Well, he said it's a descriptor pistol, right? Yeah. And and Robert Downey's like, "Oh God, why?" He's like, "Why did you say it?" He goes, "You asked."
Yeah, right.
Like so unabashedly, like, "Duh, dude." Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's just moments like that I really enjoy. That it almost feels like it's just people hanging out, Yeah. And I know that there's some satire and probably not exactly what Hollywood looks like, but it's just to me, it's a fun depiction of probably, of something that could happen if you found 2 people of that ilk thrust in this situation. It felt more real, given the noir status of the film, because the whole thing that's happening feels very unreal.
My favorite scene is probably the scene in which Robert Downey Jr. is under the bed, and then the girl gets killed. She falls next to him, and she's looking at him, but obviously, like, she's dying, so he doesn't get, or she doesn't alert the other guy that he's there or whatever.
She's trying. Well, she recognizes him, and then he's got to do the finger on the lip, and it's like, dude, that's so harrowing.
It's harrowing. It's, like I said, one of the few scenes in this movie in which it feels like there's actual, like, serious tension going on, and I really like whenever Shane Black implements that emotional weight into something that is just nonstop silliness.
He has a couple more. I mean, there's probably only like those 2.
Yeah.
Like the very ending and then that one. Because I'm trying to think. I was like, nah, I don't think there's any. Everything else kind of feels like silly and like they're gonna find some weird way to get out of it.
Right, or like there's some like underlying joke going on here.
Yeah.
Like you can't take it too seriously now.
I did actually. I don't know. I did like the Russian roulette scene too.
Yeah.
It's like he goes, there's an 8% chance or a 6% chance that I got him. He goes, where did you learn math?
Right. And then Perry's on the phone, and then Robert Downey Jr. is still doing math, and he's like, hey, it does check out. It did 12%.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, shut up.
Yeah.
What did you think about the editing? Was not huge on the editing for me personally.
So
it was very kind of like choppy and all over the place, which I felt like was a response to the dialogue and how like kind of barrel rolling this whole movie is. Just kind of like barrels through everything.
I think it fits. So once again, I haven't seen this movie in forever. Like I don't remember the last time I threw it on, but like it was definitely before. Like we've seen a lot of landmarks with films, and obviously like the way that cinematography is going and filming and how seamless things can be. You know, this felt very much like 2005, where you had scene breaks. It would go to the next. You know, you skip through your chapters. I threw on the closed captions, and it's like big, bulky, taking out like a third of the bottom of the screen. I was like, oh my God. And then like you're kind of just hopping back like one scene to the next. You just hop. I didn't feel like it was very seamless in its transition.
Yeah.
But I think and what you're talking about, and me personally, like I do believe, I think Shane Black was like, we're going to lean so much on the dialogue and the comedy of this film that we're not going to really worry about the filmmaking, you know?
Yeah. And it kind of like what you're alluding to, it felt like sort of an afterthought of like, editing doesn't have to be perfect. So we're just going to like kind of throw it together. And because of that, it feels very thrown together to me.
Well, it's like I mentioned, like I halfway through this thing, I'm like, oh my God, this is like a Curb Your Enthusiasm brought to life movie. Like, let's put you in some weird situations. We're going to have two very unique individuals that have different outlooks on life. And we're going to have their responses to their environment and the actions that are going on around them. And it's just going to kind of be like, hey, what if we go to the hotel room and, Robert Downey Jr.'s got to take a piss and then he finds a dead body. Like, what do we do there?
Right.
And then it's like smash cut to the next, like, well, he's got to call someone, like, let's have this, and it's
right. And I appreciate the ultimate like heightening of that a lot. Like what you're saying, how he sees the dead body. What happens if he sees a dead body while he's taking a piss? Well, he's going to turn his whole body and piss on the body.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it kind of gets, but you do a whole movie like that, right? Where it's just all these different situations. You're looking at more of I can't quite come up with the word. It's what I always talk about, fucking Tree of Life, like it. Interstitchings, right? Like it's just like we're just gonna keep having. It's a comedy troupe. It's a screenplay or it's a stage play, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, close the curtain, on to the next, run out the set. Here we go. Here's your next situation that you're in.
Are you thinking of vignettes?
Vignettes, yes. It's like there's a bunch of vignettes, right? And like that's what I'm saying with the plot of this thing. Like, while it is fun and it is intricate, and I do like what Shane Black did with it, how it's very layered to some degree, right? It just feels like it takes a back seat with everything else happening.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything else I want to bring up. Was there anything else you want to touch on with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
No, I'm not really. I mean, like this, and it's funny because I like watching this. Well, I think people need to see it. I mean, like not every movie that we're going to talk about's got something that's, like The Long Walk. That's a great allegory for many different things and themes that you can touch on. This is very simple and kind of just, it's a noir detective film with some comedy thrust in. And I hadn't quite remembered until I threw it on the making of the movie and what it was going for. And then as I was watching, I was like, there's not a lot of meat on the bone to talk about.
Yeah.
I
think we got some good stuff in.
Yeah.
Shall we get into ratings?
Yeah.
I go first?
Yes.
So this is a 6 out of 10 for me.
Oh.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, dear Mac.
Man.
I was kind of scared going into this conversation of like, I know this is a movie that
Dude.
Mac probably enjoys more than I did.
No, it's I mean, there's Congo, Speed 2. Like, you just got to understand, I got my own taste.
Absolutely.
You know?
And not that I think that this is a bad movie by any stretch. I think that it definitely has a lot going for it that works for me.
Mm-hmm.
The character dynamics, the chemistry between the two leads. I think Michelle Monaghan is really good at what she does in this movie. A lot of the comedy did work for me, but again, there's so much of it that's in there that I think it just like takes up too much space for me. It makes me feel claustrophobic when I watch a movie like this.
Yeah.
When it's just so chock full of like, we're going to just like throw it all at you. And for that reason, it's harder for me to enjoy than I think a lot of people who watch a film like this. So 6 out of 10 for me is where I'm landing.
Nice. No, I get it. I used to have this like, since we started doing the pod, I've kind of reeled back on some of my appreciation for movies, or going like, man, what did I find that I really liked in that? Now that I'm watching this, I can't quite find it again. Not necessarily the case with this. I think this one to me has always been a straight up play on. I'm a sucker when I can get two characters or two leads that play well off each other and have a good dynamic. Mm-hmm. And you can kind of see the contrast between, and while both performances are good, The Long Walk and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, having the friendships that are developed in the relationships that we get on screen, both kind of in different environments, different settings, but I appreciate both of them. And that always heightens movies for me. And with this one, you know, it is kind of probably, I would say, pulling and plucking the parts that I really like about this film and discarding a little bit of the rest. While I am fine doing that, I do recognize that movies that I've enjoyed before, maybe not the best. And I think I knocked this down actually a star, but still high on the totem pole for me. I mean, I threw this on, and I bet you I could probably throw this on again if it was a Saturday night and I was like, I just want to have a good laugh. So I'm giving this is an 8 out of 10 for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Shall we get into recommendation?
Yes.
All right. So I think you and I are in agreement that the next new movie that's coming out that we're going to have to cover is One Battle After Another.
Oh, that's it. There it is.
Yep, there it is.
Told you.
You said you would recognize it when I said
As soon
it,
as
and
you
you
said
did.
it, yep.
Absolutely.
I've been seeing these trailers nonstop from watching these like football games, and I just keep seeing September 26th. Does that sound right?
Yeah, it comes
Friday?
out this week.
Yep.
So that's going to be one that will be topical, but also one that I think we're both genuinely looking forward to. Paul Thomas Anderson.
And Leo DiCio, dude. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. So my recommendation is sort of tailored to that movie.
Okay.
It's one that is one of my favorite films ever.
Oh.
And we have not covered it on the podcast in any official capacity. Came out 2015, stars Leonardo DiCaprio.
Hold on. 2015 DiCaprio, Blood Diamond.
No.
Okay.
Blood Diamond was like 2007.
Okay. The Departed.
No.
Okay.
Departed was like earlier than that. I think it was like 2004.
Okay. 2015.
This is the movie in which Leo won his Oscar for.
The Revenant.
I want to talk about The Revenant alongside One Battle After Another.
So the only point connecting is Leo.
Yeah, because I was thinking about it. I was like, do I recommend another Paul Thomas Anderson movie to go along with it? We've talked about a lot of his films, and while I do enjoy the works of a fellow PTA,
Revenant's good.
The Revenant is one of my favorite movies.
Tom
It stars Leonardo DiCaprio. It's got WWTHD in it, and I figured since it's one of my favorite movies, I might as well just throw it out there, and we'll talk about it.
Absolutely.
So cool. If you guys don't want to be spoiled for The Revenant, also One Battle After Another, be sure to check those movies out before episode 105. McLean, anything to say before we sign off?
WWDHD.
Bye, everyone. Flex that sack. The Neon Crew podcast is hosted by Kyle Yates and McLean Parker. Kyle, who is myself, also helps to produce, edit, and upload every episode. Our music was composed by Gideon Hunter. Our artwork was created by Lauren Hunter. Thank you so much for listening to our show. Episodes get scheduled to release every 2 weeks. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Follow us on various social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and our YouTube community page for updates and information on upcoming episodes. Want to join the Neon Mafia? Head over to our shop page at etsy.com/shop/the Neon Crew Podcast for some quality, comfortable merch.